really talks about how detoxification works. And so you can see on the left there that the toxins will enter through your skin, through your gut and intestinal tract, through your lungs, and they go right to the liver. And then they're also excreted through the skin, the kidneys, the colon, and the lungs themselves. So the main organs that receive the toxins also secrete them. Now, what happens and where do those toxins go when we are not ridding ourselves of them? So the liver, as you see, has a big job. Well, they get stored in your fat cells. If you look down at the bottom of the slide, your bone marrow, your liver, your central nervous system, including your brain and your spinal cord, your joints, your blood, your tissues, and your muscles. So if you're waking up with achy joints in the morning and you don't have any history of arthritis or anything like that, that might be a good indicator that there's a lot going on. So, and then if you look at right at the bottom, there's a whole myriad of disease processes that are associated with too much toxins. And so imagine the liver, just it's not a circular organ, but if it was, imagine that there were 10 doors on it, and there's a toxin outside of every door waiting to be processed by the liver. Well, literally there are thousands in line behind it waiting to get in and get processed so that we can excrete them and get rid of them. Let's talk a little bit about some detox basics, okay? So your toxic substances actually behave like fats, but the problem is that your blood is primarily water. And as we all know, oil and water don't mix, neither do oil and fat. And so the toxins get stuck in the fatty regions of the body. And many times you will see that, especially in the abdominal fat, is where you'll see a lot of these toxins getting stored. These toxins have to be converted into substances that will then dissolve and be carried in the blood. So this is carried out by the CYP450 enzyme system. And there's also a second step that has to happen as well. And that is when these conjugated enzymes that are found in the liver get added to the process, and then they can be transported to the urinary system and the GI system so that we can basically pee them out and we can poop them out. So basic science is that the toxins come into the body, they're processed through the liver. There's a two-step process which has to happen in order to make sure that we can get rid of these toxins via urination and going to the bathroom. So this is a term that I came up with, which I really love, is dilution is the solution to the pollution. And many of us on the call today are probably a little bit dehydrated. We don't do a very good job, I think, myself included with that sometimes, of staying hydrated. And when we hydrate, that really helps the kidneys to really rid the body of any stored up toxins that are in there. So, you know, people tell me, hey, Ed, I don't like water. I'm really not a water drinker. Well, water is one option. You know, you can drink a Zing, you can drink some kombucha. Just be careful of sugar content in kombucha. I like a little fresh coconut water. I'll drink a little Perrier, not too much. So you can diversify your arsenal of what you choose to drink on a daily basis so that you're hydrating enough. And you know, the drinks that have caffeine in them are only going to deplete you more because caffeine acts as a diuretic, right? So that just gets rid of more fluid than we actually need to get rid of. Adding fiber. The other day, when I was home in Florida for a couple of days, I have a lentil recipe where I'll cook up some brown rice and I'll have lentils and I'll soak them, and then I just season them with cumin and turmeric and some Old Bay seasoning and some salt and pepper and a few more seasonings as well. Add a couple of Vitality essential oils, particularly black pepper and coriander, and I'll put those in there as well, and that will become a meal for me. I'll basically eat lentils over rice for probably 3 or 4 days until they're all gone. But fiber is really another thing, because we want the fiber in our diet to scour the GU system and the intestinal tract to get everything out as much as we can. So someone I spoke to recently said that they only go to the bathroom twice a week. And I said, that's a huge problem. Like, we have to help you to get up to speed so that your body is getting rid of all this fecal matter so that you can be healthy and you're not holding on to toxins. The good news is that they're up to 5 times a week, and we've got them on enzymes, we've got them on digesting cleanse, we've got them on Nixture Red. We're going to start to introduce a little ICP next week, but we're starting to really work with this individual so that they have a healthy GI system. As we said earlier, everyone detoxes differently. Everyone's liver does a different job. We can look at some systems and how we can help people overall, but not everything works for everybody, right? So if we're working with someone who's got some issues with detoxification, we have to know what worked for John may not work for Joe, may not work for Lori, may not work for Jane. So it's very different, and it does take a specific skill set in helping these people rid the body of the toxins that they have. So there's a lot of enemies out there, and the enemies are the toxins, right? And they come in our food, they come in the air we breathe, they come in our personal care products, they come in the perfumes that people put on their body, they come in the water we drink, and it can be a full-time job. So in Tennessee, I'm selling my house and I'm moving, and where we're moving to actually has a spring, and the water has been tested. It's some of the purest water that I've ever seen anywhere, but that'll be the water that I'm drinking from here on in, which is really good to know. But again, the body can naturally rid itself of the toxins, but know about these phthalates and these parabens and these things that these companies put in their products on a daily basis, and they don't tell us. And then it's our responsibility to make sure that we know what they are and how we get rid of them. So the GI system bacteria, your gut's microbiome, as we talked about last time, can be overtly affected by a lot of these toxins. And when that happens, as we talked about in our last call, that has a generalized ripple effect over the whole course of the body, because the gut is connected to the endocrine system, connected to the nervous system, the cardiovascular system, the immune system. It's all connected, and that ripple effect is like leaches out through the whole body and the whole system, and it starts to affect everything, not just the gut. So there was some research done in Belgium at Leuven, Catholic University of Leuven, and they looked at the alteration of gut bacteria. Now remember, that was called your microflora are in a dysbiotic relationship, so you want them to be 85-15. And they looked at lifestyle stress, diet, medications, and toxins to see if that had an overall effect on the gut's bacteria. And it did. It actually changed the ratio of good and bad bacteria. So one of the parts of the study I read, I think it took the good bacteria down to about 75% and brought the bad bacteria up to about 25. So that's not a good relationship. We want that 85-15. But they also found an increased number of these endotoxins in your system, which is super, super, super important that especially in the gut, we get rid of those. Now, we used to call the total accumulation of toxins in the body as bioaccumulation. And in functional health, we talk about the total load effect. It's basically the same thing, but imagine this is a Sherpa here who's helping someone hike up in Nepal, in one of the mountains in the Himalayas, and they're just imagine that this person is your liver, and all those toxins are what's on this person's back. And this is really the job of the liver again, which has a huge, huge, huge role in keeping you healthy. So as we talked about last time, just a reminder, we talked a little bit about gut health, and we said we want to remove basically gluten, dairy, sugar. We want to replace enzymes, and I shared with you my enzyme protocol last time. I do about 3 to 5 detoxifying in the morning and the evening. I'm doing essential zymes or essential zymes for an hour before every meal, so that my body's got the enzymatic content in there before I start eating. So enzymes are super, super important. We want to replace with fiber too. We want to re-inoculate, which means we want to give the gut the probiotics and the prebiotics as well. The prebiotics are just as important. They are the sugars and the starches that the probiotics feed on so that they're healthy. And then we want to replenish. We want to give the gut magnesium, so things like mineral essence. We want to give the gut B5, so things like master formula. We want to give the gut zinc, master formula. We want to give it pantothenic acid or B5, things like super B, all become extremely important for the overall health of the gut. Now, this guy here, Dr. William Ray, was a very, very successful cardiovascular surgeon. He was probably doing 10 open heart surgeries a week, and he became neurologically impaired. This is the gentleman that actually pioneered the environmental medicine movement. And he got so sick from his exposure to toxins that he could not even work anymore. So can you imagine, like, your livelihood is you're a cardiothoracic surgeon, you're doing 10 surgeries a week, you're probably earning close to $1 million a year as a surgeon, and then all of a sudden your livelihood is just taken from you because he literally could not operate with his hands. And so he decided that he was going to take things in his own hand, and his interventions were the following. He actually removed all synthetic materials, carpets, paints, flooring, everything from his house, and put all strictly fresh organic materials in there. He added an air and water purification system. I just bought a molecule for my house. I love it. I can tell the difference already. I actually have a water purification system. So when the water comes from the water main into my house, it's met by a huge carbon filter, which removes 99.99% of all the gunk in there. And then when it comes through and it goes through another carbon filter in my refrigerator, I've had that water tested as well. It's pretty pure at that point, and there's really not a lot of anything in there at all, which is what you really want. All his clothing had natural fibers, so things like hemp, which we've a lot of discussion about hemp lately. All organic foods. He did not have any gluten, dairy, or sugar. He used no perfumes or colognes. And why would you when you have things like Shutron and you have things like neroli and jasmine for the women? I mean, come on. And I hope if there's any guys on the call, I hope you bought some rose for your sweetheart. I did. And he also ditched the cell phone. So, and if you have a cell phone, you can have these little things that go on the back of your cell phone that help protect with EMF transmission. And so it's actually something you want to be very careful of. My fiance's dad was actually a CIA agent, and he was part of Secret Service early on. He had one of the first cell phones. Unfortunately, he did die of brain cancer because he was using that cell phone so often. So even when I'm talking to people on the phone, I'm putting it on speaker, and I'm not putting it up against my ear like this. So that is a big help as well. So let's talk about another mover and shaker in this industry. Her name is Dr. Elizabeth Jeffrey, and she is a professor at the University of Illinois Division of Nutritional Sciences. She's looking at food from a science standpoint, and she was working on how cruciferous vegetables promote detoxification. Actually, a huge pioneer in the field. Now, I don't know about who in the audience likes Brussels sprouts. I hated them as a kid. They're one of my favorite dishes now, but these vegetables, specifically Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and cauliflower, have a compound called glucosinolates in them. And let's tell you about how they work. So when I cook my Brussels sprouts, I cut them in half. I soak them in a little olive oil. I add a little seasoning to them, and I let them sit for about 45 minutes. And what's happening is that those glucosinolates, those compounds in there, are starting to percolate forward and starting to percolate out, so that when I eat them, I'm going to get all the benefits of them. And what did these do? Well, they actually turn on your genetic expression for detoxification and immunity. So if you had Brussels sprouts for dinner tonight, your body is naturally detoxifying on its own now. You've amped up the process by doing that. So food is life, as Mary Young says, which I absolutely love that. I love that phrase. And so, you know, broccoli is the same way. You just have to cut it, and cauliflower, cut it, let it sit, season it, and when you eat it, it's going to do its magic. Now, the white button cap mushroom, another vegetable that has some very promising effects, just like broccoli does. It actually turns on genetic expression for detoxification and immunity. And when this happens, when a food turns on your genetic expression, it's known as inducible. So One of the areas that we'll be going, maybe not this year, but in 2021 for sure, we're going to be looking at inducible diets. So what foods turn on and turn off your genetic expression. So we know many foods can turn off the expression of the cancer cells that everybody has in their body. And so that's a good thing. We want to keep those cancer cells suppressed. So again, these specific exposure to substances like indole-3 and carbinol and sulforaphane, when we eat these foods, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the cauliflower, we're really doing our body and the detoxification machine, including the liver, a great benefit. Now, there is a solution that we can look at. It's called the detox diet. And we're going to talk a little bit now. I'm not a big fan of diets. These are more just basically lifestyle suggestions that you can have and take. And so let's go through a couple of these. So an overall general look at what we want to see in our diet. So we do want a high intake of vegetables, fruits, and beans. Now, beans are one of those foods that are pretty prevalent in all 5 blue zones of the country. And the beans also contain a lot of fiber, right? So we want that fiber, again, to scour the intestinal system. Now, the vegetables and fruits that you're eating, folks, please make sure that you are, if possible, choosing organic and non-GMO. You know, last summer, Jen and I planted a garden, and I hadn't had a garden in over 10 years. And it just brought me so much joy to be able to have a garden. And we got all our seeds and plants from the Amish in Tennessee. And the Amish are really good. They don't use any genetically modified anything. And so we knew exactly what the seeds were, how they were categorized, and all the plants were just little starter plants. And we had some of the best fruit and vegetables I've had in a long time, including the corn, which was also not genetically modified. And they guaranteed us that as well, which is really cool. You want a moderate intake of meat, eggs, and fish. Interestingly enough, when you look at eating patterns around the world, it's not vegetarians who live to be the longest, it's actually pescatarians, those who are including fish on a regular basis in their diet. I'm not a big meat eater, I'm not a big egg eater either, but if I'm going to eat a piece of meat or a piece of chicken or whatever, I do make sure though that it's not genetically modified and it's coming and I know where it's sourced from. You want a very low intake of sugar, which causes those advanced glycation end products, which basically causes inflammation in the gut and other places. A low intake of dairy basically causes inflammation, and a very low intake of processed foods. So the alkaline ash diet is something that came out a while back too, and you really want to keep the acid-base balance in your body. Actually, you want to keep it more alkaline than acidic. Diseases, things like cancers really do enjoy acidic environments. And this alkaline acid ash diet helps to promote elimination in the kidneys. And one of the things that they do is they add potassium citrate after every meal. And this helps to, because what happens when we eat is that we're using energy in our mitochondria. And then the mitochondria, we're one of the only species that uses oxidation to process food. It's a good thing, but it's a double-edged sword. And whenever we have oxidation, we have acidity in the body. So we want the potassium citrate will actually help to keep the body alkaline. And that's really what we want. We want that nice balance of alkalinity in the body so that we don't invite any problems. All right, so I'm sure there's a lot of you who are green tea lovers out there, and I do love green tea. I haven't drank a lot lately, but I do love a nice cup of green tea occasionally. And the good news about green tea is that it has these things called catechins in there, and catechins are flavonoids, they're antioxidants, and they actually help promote liver health. Interesting. And so I don't forget, I wanted to make sure that one of the things that's out there is a product called milk thistle, and it's a plant, and milk thistle has been used in Europe to help promote overall liver health. To my knowledge, we don't have any products that have milk thistle in there. So just, again, if you're buying or using any supplement to help the liver, just make sure it's from a good source. Turmeric, oh my God, 6,800 studies right on turmeric, which I love. But how specifically does turmeric and the curcumins in the turmeric help. Well, let's take a look at it. Well, the curcumins in that turmeric actually help support the liver's ability to detoxify. It helps to boost the bile production in the gallbladder, and then the liver uses that bile to rid the body of toxins. Now, fresh cut turmeric is really good. I actually have a supplement that I use. It has all the curcumins and the turmeric in there, and it's liposomal. So we talked about that last time as well, that the liposomal products are wrapped in a fat molecule, and that helps to increase the absorption, or what we call bioavailability, in the gut, so that you get all the benefits of them, because most of the time it's just poorly absorbed in the gut. We talked about the cruciferous vegetables earlier. And then for those of you who are red wine drinkers, there is a compound called resveratrol in the red wine. And this is a plant compound that has a very high antioxidant effect. Okay, so again, moderation with everything. If you're drinking red wine, you know, we're not judging that. We're saying that just, you know, drinking a lot of it over a long period of time isn't probably the most beneficial. Interestingly enough, watercress and pomegranates are two of the fruits and vegetables that actually have a lot of detoxification potential as well. I love pomegranates. I love just to snap them open and just eat them right out of there. Again, high in fiber as well too, so they're really going to scour that GI system and help you move out anything that's in there. Now, we do have a product that has ellagic acid in it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to figure it out. But ellagic acid is a polyphenol that's found in fruits and vegetables. It's very prevalent in berries, and it's a potent antioxidant that really aids in the toxic removal of substances in your body. I wonder what that product could be. I'm sure you guys have figured it out already. So just to review, that foods can help induce genetic expression and help regulate the detoxification process, and they can help decrease the bioaccumulation or the total load effect from the toxins that we experience. The bad news is that we don't get out of being exposed to toxins on a regular basis. The good news is that we can do a lot on our own to help speed up and optimize the process of detoxification. So we'll take a look at that with the Young Living Difference in a second. Now, there are some substances that really affect your nervous system, your immune system, and your cardiovascular system. And these are the heavy metals. So the lead, the mercury, and the cadmium. You know, I had lead fillings years ago, got them all taken out because, you know, then they found out lead was bad. They didn't know it back then. Even mercury fillings they were putting in everyone back then. And so these deadly players have a really profound effect on the cardiovascular and immune systems particularly. And unfortunately, that CYP450 enzyme system, which you talked about earlier, doesn't really help a whole lot here, unfortunately, but food to the rescue again. So there are some proteins out there called methionines, and these are a family of proteins that help process these metals. And methionines are high in a sulfur amino acid called cysteine. Now, I want you to remember cysteine, everyone, because we're going to talk about a product in a few minutes that has cysteine in it. And cysteine binds very tightly to the metals, and that's known as chelation. So imagine this is the heavy metal here, and this is the cysteine molecule. It sort of comes along, and the chelation comes from the Greek word claw-like, and it actually grabs a hold of it and drags it to the GI into the GU system. So again, we can urinate it and poop it out, right? So I wonder what foods are high in that. Wow, garlic, leeks, onions, and asparagus. So you ever why your pee smells funky after asparagus? Well, it's the methionines that are in there, interestingly enough. And garlic is just one of those wonder foods. By goodness, I love to cook with garlic. People don't necessarily like to be around me after I've eaten a lot of garlic. There's a place in LA I wanted to go to this past weekend. It's called the Stinking Rose, and they actually made their business by everything on the dish or everything in the restaurant is made of garlic. And when you come out and they bring you a thing of fresh made bread with elephant garlic, and you just literally slather it on your bread before you start to eat your meal. All right, let's take a little bit of a look about the Young Living difference. And if you feel that, you know, the body needs a little help in detoxification, well, GLF is a wonderful, wonderful vitality oil. 3 to 4 drops daily in a veggie cap. It would be my first suggestion for you if you're looking to make a difference in this key module here. Essential Zymes 4, you know, they've got that dual release technology, animal and plant-based, breaks down foods, really helps to optimize the nutrient absorption. You do need help with the foods that you eat. You know, I wrote a paper many years ago in nursing school about digestive enzymes, and unfortunately at that time I wasn't a big believer. I'm a little bit older and a little bit smarter now, I'd like to believe, and I do not go anywhere without Essential Zymes 4 or Essential Zyme, and I make sure that I'm taking them before my meal. Detoxifying helps really complete the digestive process. It does aid in detoxification and promotes cleansing of the body. As I said earlier, 3 to 5 in the morning, 3 to 5 in the evening. If I've had a super big meal, and I do that occasionally, sometimes I'll eat a little bit more than I really should, and I'll take just a few extra Detoxifying to really give my body the assistance that it needs. Now, K and B is one of those supplements that doesn't really get talked about a lot. It was formulated for obviously kidney and bladder health. It does contain juniper. It does contain parsley, which helps support kidney and bladder function. It helps with urinary health as well. But I want to scroll down a little bit to the third one there, where Erdva ursi. It's a plant species, and the leaves of this shrub have been used as an herbal folk medicine for centuries as a mild diuretic and astringent, okay? So this slide is a little too busy. We're gonna clean it up eventually, but just know that when, you know, Gary was all considered to be a master, you know, distiller and the last master formulator of the essential oils, but most people don't know that really Gary had a big role in all these, you know, supplements that you're seeing now that have been out for years. He had a big role as a master distiller and proprietor of these as well. And it's also enhanced with some therapeutic grade Young Living essential oils. Now, multigreens was our first product, our first supplement that Gary added essential oils to. It was actually known as Vitagreens, and Sherry Ross taught me this. It's really a nutrient-dense chlorophyll infusion. Like people, I like multigreens because I'm not a green juice dude. Like I like the idea of having a green juice, and then usually when I taste it, it just doesn't work for me. So I'm getting my support from multigreens because it does help support the circulatory and glandular systems and nervous systems. It has choline, which actually helps in nerve and liver function, and it has cysteine in it. Do you remember cysteine? We were talking about cysteine a little while back. Well, cysteine is very important for glutathione production, glutathione, the master antioxidant. This is one of, if you were to take any one of the supplements tonight that you haven't currently tried and you wanted to try a new one, this would be the supplement that I would ask you to put on your essential rewards next month. Digest and cleanse for obvious reasons, right? It helps stimulate those stomach secretions, aids in digestion. You can take this in the morning and in the evening. My daughter is working on and taking this on a regular basis. I've got to constantly text her and remind her because she's 28 and forgets everything for whatever reason. And I'm constantly saying, hey, did you take your Digest and Cleanse this morning? Yes, I did. So this is a great product. Just make sure you're drinking plenty of water with this as well. Sulfurzyme, one of, I think, Young Living's most popular supplements. And if you look at the claim number 2, it supports the liver. But you can also talk about it supporting the immune system, your circulation, your intestinal function, and it's scavenging free radicals. So you want to get rid of those free radicals in the body. That's where the antioxidants come into play. That's why we drink Nature Red on a regular basis, right? But sulfurzyme, when we look at it, we don't normally think about helping and aiding in the liver. Now, if you do need some help with adding fiber to your diet, ICP can be a great product to use. It's got the psyllium, oat bran, and flax and fennel seeds in there. Again, this is really a supplement that you have to increase your water intake with. I probably get an email a couple times a month now where people are saying, hey, I just started ICP. What do you think? You know, I'm really not going to the bathroom. Like, in fact, I've stopped. And I'm like, how much water are you drinking? Because that fiber needs the water to bulk up the intestinal system and move everything through. And it really scours the intestinal tract again and really helps to get rid of waste. Juvatone. Now, this is another product which, you know, Gary used to put people on right out of the gate. He put them on the cleansing trio, and ICP Juvatone, and was one of them. And so, excellent source of choline. Again, very vital for liver function. Contains methionine, which helps the body to excrete normally. And methionine also helps recycle glutathione. So those glutathione molecules, once they've been used up, they get circulated through the system, and then they can get processed again and sort of re-amped up to be reused again. But also in there's an ingredient called Oregon graperoot, and this Oregon graperoot contains berberine, and berberine supports the liver as well. And that's located in the mitochondria of the cells. And so maybe on our next call, we'll do energy, and we'll talk a lot about how the mitochondria needs so much help in order to stay healthy. Because one of the things that we're told is that, well, as you get older, you're just naturally going to not have as much energy. That's somewhat true. That's not 100% true. And maybe next time, Carol, we can talk, maybe that can be the module that we talk about. So just to sum it up, detoxification process helps defend the body from toxins. It's very individual. Most common symptoms of toxicity are related to the immune and nervous system, and you can devise a step-by-step program to ensure the detoxification process goes smoothly so that you are actually living an abundant and healthy life, and that you are just being happy. So I know that's quite a lot, and we talk about it and we move kind of quickly. I know Carol is recording this, and as always, you can receive this recording, and I'm going to ask you this month to share this with 2 people. Have a watch party, as I call it, invite them over to your house and get them together and really get people to hang out together and watch it. And this is the way we duplicate, right? And duplication is so important, especially in what we do. It's not enough just to have the knowledge yourself, but to share that knowledge with people so that they understand it and they understand why that you're taking a supplement. Because I think one of the things that's happening within Young Living is that we have a plethora of products. We don't know where to start, and we don't know why we're taking them. Would you think that's a fair assessment, Carol? Yeah. And I think that this process is really one that helps simplify it for people. We can say, oh, well, detoxifying is actually good for my gut, but it actually helps with the whole detoxification process for my whole body. Oh, and sulfurzyme helps the liver, but it also supports my immune system as well. So these are ways which we can talk compliantly. And I will share with you that Julie Hunter on our conduct team, we talk often when I'm here at work, and she has basically blessed me and says, Ed, keep doing what you're doing, because we figured out the recipe to help people to understand how to share our products appropriately and in a right way, which helps to empower them. So that's really one of the goals, is to help empower you all so that you can all do what we do and do it best. So let's open it up to some questions. We got a little bit of time. So does anyone want to start off? And I would love to hear your voice rather than, chatting it in and putting it in on the chat.
Yeah. What does GLF stand for? That's one of the ones that I don't know.
Gallbladder liver function. That's what Gary originally had said behind the scene. I think it was too much to put on the label. So gallbladder liver function. And
2 to 3 drops in a capsule every day?
Yeah, so I do, it is one of the oils that's a little bit more expensive, more pricey. So I personally do about 3 to 5 drops every day in the morning, and that really sets up the detoxification process. And why morning versus evening, Carol, is that as my day goes along, through the foods I eat, I mean, even though they're organic, I still spray my foods with, the fruit and veggie spray, because during the transportation, they could have gotten a little bit gunked up and exposed to toxins. So it just sets my body up right out of the gate, right in the morning. It's like I'm set up to live in a state of optimum health and wellness, and let my body do what it needs to do and give it the support it needs to do. And if it's something that, oh, wow, this is a big ticket item for me, you know, buy a small bottle of Vitality and use it sparingly. Maybe use it every other day. But again, anything we can do to give the body the assistance it needs to be healthy, I think we're doing the right thing.
Thanks. Anybody else have questions?
I do. Sulfurzyme.
I actually,
There we go. Go ahead, Kim. I'll go next.
go ahead.
No.
I actually love GLF. I use it. I actually throw it in my smoothie along with Digize
Nice.
in the morning, just because I'm not a capsule person, so I just throw everything in my smoothie, literally. It's huge. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it, and I will never be. I have big bottles, little bottles, all the bottles, just because I do love it. But I have been tested. So I have a chiropractor who does muscle testing, kinesiology, and I'm often tested for my liver is just happening when I've tried to take like sulfurzyme. What's the other one? Mostly sulfurzyme was the one that it kind of triggered. And cruciferous vegetables. It ends up being more of a toxic thing versus a versus detoxifying. How can I get that to change around? He had mentioned to help with the detoxification process, and maybe that could be what I need to like kind of correct that. But I'm not sure, like, what do you think on that?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you for sharing that, because that really illustrates how we are all different, right? So for most people, the cruciferous vegetables and the sulfurzyme actually aid the process. For you, it sends you in the other direction. So there is a theory out there. It's called hormesis. And hormesis means that lower doses of things have a higher impact or a higher value or benefit for the body. So maybe in conjunction with working with your chiropractor, because I think it's important to work with a qualified healthcare professional, working with he or she, I would say, what if we tried to do a hormetic intervention where we said, we're going to do really low doses. So maybe, you know, you take half a sulfurzyme. You know, like that's where you start and see if that has any benefit and if that brings about the reaction. Maybe instead of eating 10 Brussels sprouts, you eat one or a half of one. Like, this is just the idea that comes to me, because hormesis, it's much like homeopathy. You don't necessarily need a higher strength thing to get a response in the body. So that would be my suggestion, working with your chiropractor and see if that makes any difference.
I like that. Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So my question is sulfurzyme. I love it. Difference between powder and capsules, is there a preference, or is it just personal? And should you take, sorry, two-part question. And should you take it morning or evening?
There is a difference. I'd have to relook at the labels again to give you accurate. If you want to send me an email, eddailey@youngliving.com, I will get the full breakdown for you, because I view that as a learning process for myself too. So I will definitely get you that breakdown as to what the difference is. But as far as the capsules, I think they're more convenient for me, number one. I'm not much of a powder guy. And I take sulfurzyme in the morning, and I also take it in the evening as well, mainly for my joints, because my joints need the love and support that sulfurzyme that gives me. So,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, if please send me an email, you know, after we get off the call tonight, and the last name is Dailey, eddailey@youngliving.com, and I will have an answer for you by the end of day tomorrow. How's that?
Awesome. Thanks, Ed.
All right, you're welcome.
Hi, my name's Danielle. I'm newer to Young Living, so I've done a lot of research, and I take the sulfurzyme powder, and I do it twice a day. I do a half a teaspoon in with 2 ounces of my Ninjinx and the water. And then I do a drop of Vitality, grapefruit, and citrus fresh. I do that twice a day.
Awesome.
So is that, what else can I combine with that? Because I have a lot of health issues and I'm just starting on this journey and I want to make sure I'm doing things right.
Well, whatever you're doing right now is right. So I just want to validate and honor that. And so the main question I think for anybody, you know, I don't even like to call it disease anymore. I like to call it health challenges. And that's really what they are, or health projects as I like to put them. And so whatever you're experiencing, no matter what it is, Danielle, I would ask you, like, what is the root cause of that? And that's really where, if you're having a multitude where it's just sort of overwhelming, it may be time to actually see a healthcare professional trained in functional medicine, because they will get to the root cause of the problem. And I'll just share with you, 10 years ago, when I went and had my functional medicine evaluation, the intake was this thick. It literally took me 4 hours to fill out. I was just like overwhelmed. And then the first thing that the physician she spent 4 hours with me, by the way. And back then it was $1,200 for my intake. You know, you can find someone that'll work with you for payments, et cetera. But first thing she honed in on was my diet. And even still, after, you know, even at that time, over 10 years ago, I was still probably not eating half as good as I do now. So again, food is life. And if you go to ifm.org, if you type in your zip code, you will get a list of functional medicine physicians in your area. And sometimes it's really the best way to start than trying to figure it out on your own, so that you can get to the root causes of these projects more quickly and you can feel better more quickly.
Okay, great. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate you. Any other questions from anyone?
I got another one with, you talked about green tea.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between green tea and black tea? I mean, I love black tea, not as much as green tea. So is there any kind of comparisons about those two?
I know black tea has a little bit more caffeine in it. So, but overall, I don't know about the phenolic compounds. Again, Scott, I'd have to look into that just to kind of check it out to see what is actually in green tea versus black tea. So if you want to send me an email too as well, I will find out for you. I will see, this is the great thing about education. Like, you know, someone said to me the other day, they said, "Oh, you're an expert." I said, "No, I'm a perpetual learner." Like, I want to be the person in a room that's constantly learning. I learn something new every day. And that's what I love about this job, is that then I get to share it with people like you. So now I'm going to find out about sulfurzyme and green and black tea. So I will find out. Actually, I'll just send the information along, and we'll get to the root of that. But that's a good question.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any
other last questions from anyone? All right, well, I hope this has been an enjoyable module for you all. Just know that continuing moving forward, like, this is what I'm excited about. This is what I wake up to do every day, to help turn the light bulb on, not only for myself, but everybody within Young Living. Please share this video with as many people as you can in the next month or two. And if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to me on social media. I get back to people pretty quickly. And so, Carol, thank you so much for having me on. And I look forward to the next time we get together, hopefully next month or in April, to you know, do some more education.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bonnie, I see that you just put your camera on. Does that mean you have a question?
No, I actually, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I actually got in late and I feel awful. I really wanted to watch this, so I'm going to have to go back and watch the recorded version. But
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that you're doing this, Ed. Thank you so much. This is something that's near and dear to my heart too. So
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. A lot of this content we're posting on the Young Living Global Education page, so you can like us on our Global Education page. And just, you know, if you're interested, if you have leaders in your communities that are interested, this is one of the ways that we're really connecting with people now. We're not doing as many events as a company anymore. That's fine. We have to conserve our resources, but this is one of the ways. This is just another touch point for us. to do that as well. And if any of you are interested in coming to Portugal this year in April, we're going to be doing, myself, Lindsay Elmore, and Tamara Packer are teaching a balance event at the Trevoni Hotel and Resort. It is by far the most beautiful venue I have seen. I think there's 50 tickets left. The bay on one side and the ocean on the other. And the room has 40-foot ceilings, all glass.
Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful, it is going to be the most beautiful venue I think I've ever been at with Young Living. So I just put that out there. You can go to Young Living Europe's page in the UK and you can register on there as well. And I think there's a link on my personal Young Living page as well too. But it's very rare these days you get Dr. Elmore, myself, and Tamara Packer all in the same place. And we really have a really profound retreat coming up for you. It's a Friday through Sunday, and it's going to be a great event. So hopefully we'll see some of you folks there.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again, Carol. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I really appreciate you all. And as they say in Star Trek, live long and prosper.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. See you later.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.